welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing the possibility of North Carolina maybe flipping and why it most likely won't flip. Now, there have been lots of talks about it flipping. A lot of people have been saying that it will flip, this will be the year that it flips. But I personally disagree, and I'll explain why. So first off, if we go at Trump's victory, he won by 1.3%. And if we actually go look at exit polls, I believe these are 2020 exit polls, yeah. And we go look at area type. Biden did exceptionally in urban areas. He did very, very exceptionally well in, all across the state. He did very well in urban areas. He won by 40% as opposed to Clinton's 25% margin of victory in urban areas. He only lost the suburbs at 21% as opposed to Clinton's 24%. And then he also only lost rural areas by 19%, the same margin that Clinton lost rural areas. Now, and looking at this is essentially why I don't think it'll work. Now, I might go to the wrong calculator tab because I have 12 open, but I believe this is the right tab, yeah. This is the amount of in the suburbs that Democrats would have to win to be able to flip the state. Now, what I did is and it could be a little off, I averaged out the urban totals. I averaged out Biden and Clinton's urban totals because Biden did very well, Clinton did fairly poorly. So I decided to average out their totals to see how it would be. And Democrats would have to win 44% of the suburban vote, which would not be crazy in a lot of other states. And in fact, being able to do that in most states is not crazy. South Carolina, Biden only got 39% of the suburban vote though. Clinton only got 36%. She lost it by 24%. Biden lost it by 21%. That means that for this to be able to happen, they would have to shift 5 points to the left after having shifted 3 points the years before. And that's highly unlikely for them to be able to do this and not shift it by insane margins compared to previous years. They would have to do very well in the urban areas, and I think Kamala Harris would be a fairly strong candidate for a lot of these urban areas. I think she could be a strong candidate for Charlotte. However, her past with minority voters could screw her over with minority voters in Charlotte. So it really does depend on what she's able to do. However, Clinton was one that you would expect to be able to do better in urban areas, yet Biden did better. And I think that's a bit of a sign that I think that Harris is more of a Clinton type candidate, and I think that's a bit of a sign that she won't be able to do phenomenally in these areas. And then looking at this, these rural areas, Clinton was able to do as well as Biden. So I think that it'll probably be about the same in these rural areas. But in the suburbs, they would have to shift it by insane margins to come anywhere close. That's for a 0.1% margin of victory compared to what Trump did. That's a 0.1% margin of victory, 50% of the vote. That's very, very unlikely that they're able to do this, and that's a very narrow margin of victory. They don't have to shift it so much, and that's just for these area type exit polls. That's probably the poll that supports the. Oh, okay, sorry, my mic was on my backspace arrow, my back arrow. That's probably the poll that supports the most. If we go look at racial exit polls, actually I could go to 2016. They did very well. Among white voters, this is obviously not a strong performance. Biden did much better among white voters, nationally. However, across the South, and this is why this is one of the biggest reasons I think that Democrats have a hard time winning in the South. They do really, really bad with white voters. Way, way worse than national level. 66 or 33% among white voters is, fairly good in the South for Democrats. But among the black vote, they won 92% of the black vote. 92%, and they're already at a representative share of the electorate. They won Latino voters, Hispanic Latino voters, only by 15%, so that was a bit of a weak performance. But they also carried other racial slash ethnic groups. So that poll obviously is not great for them. They are, like I said, just bad. They are not bad candidates. They already did phenomenally among these voters, and they still aren't able to win. And the GOP, yes, they're not great among rural voters, but they're still winning them by 19%. And Democrats, they would have to do insane in Mecklenburg County, which is not, that's not a crazy idea. Then they would also have to do better in like Cabarrus, is that how it's pronounced? I'm gonna assume that's how it's pronounced. County, Union County, up here in these Greensboro suburbs and these Raleigh suburbs. They would have to do better. Like Raleigh suburbs are essentially all I think just in Wake County, but they would have to do much better among a lot of these areas because right now they are losing by very large margins. Yes, and I think it'll most likely flip in 2028 because the suburbs have had 8 years to shift and probably shift enough. But at the moment, it's not enough of a shift to be able to do any. They would have to run an exceptional suburban candidate, and the GOP would have to run an exceptionally bad suburban candidate. I think Harris is a strong suburban candidate, yes, but not that strong. Not strong enough to be able to do that. But then if the GOP were to run somebody even remotely strong in the suburbs, somebody like Nikki Haley, somebody like Ron DeSantis, it would give Democrats serious or it would give Democrats serious problems because they would not be able to. They would have to override that and run like Kamala Harris would have to do so well in the suburbs, that she was able to swing them 6%, 5%, excuse me, with a strong GOP candidate already, and it's just very unlikely. That's why I'm very hesitant to saying that North Carolina will flip. On the Senate level, it'll probably flip in 2026. Tom Tillis will probably lose his seat then. It'll probably flip on the presidential level in 2028. However, right now, it is it's very difficult for Democrats to be able to win there, and we could once again see a lean Republican race if they were to run somebody strong in the suburbs. If they were to run somebody like Nikki Haley, somebody like Ron DeSantis, the only real way I see it flipping is if the GOP run an awful suburban candidate, somebody who's just horrible in the suburbs. Maybe Ted Cruz, they could lose. If Ted Cruz were to run, he could lose it. Marjorie Taylor Greene would probably lose it by like 2-3%. But other than that, there aren't really many suburban candidates, or Trump maybe. I doubt it. Trump would probably still win it. There aren't enough suburban candidates, or the GOP isn't going to run a candidate so bad in the suburbs that it flips. And that's why it'll probably not flip until at least the 2026 Senate. Maybe 2024, although it's very unlikely. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for my next video. And I will see you all there. Bye.